over half my life ago, between WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2009, 2010, 2011, and WWE 12, I had to create a wrestler show here on YouTube known as UCWO CAW Wrestling. It wasn't really popular, at all. I would barely ever get comments on there. For most of my time doing it, I was just recording my TV, and the quality for the most part was not very good. I would just use my parents' camera to record videos of myself and sometimes friends playing SmackDown vs. Raw on the TV. But it did serve for a pretty cool time capsule. And I love having those memories still on YouTube today for when I'm feeling nostalgic for me to go back and watch. And for those few years, especially SmackDown vs. Raw 2010 and 2011, having to create a wrestler show was a big creative outlet for me. Because I've always been a big wrestling fan, loved the wrestling games. I can tell you right now, if it wasn't for the SmackDown vs. Raw games and my Create a Wrestler promotion, I don't even know if I would have kept watching wrestling after 2009, 2010. I probably would have grown out of it. But the idea of me and my friends all creating our own wrestlers and then having our own little fantasy promotion was very cool to me. Then I would go on YouTube back in the day and watch various Create a Wrestler shows. If you remember, Forever a Movement, Extreme CAW Wrestling, No DQ CAW were some of my favorites back in the day. And I wanted to do something like that. And being a 13-year-old kid at the time, I definitely did not have a capture card or any professional equipment to record. But regardless, I loved the fact that I just recorded with what I have. And now 15 years later, I can go back and really reminisce in the nostalgia of my early teenagehood. And a lot of those earlier videos are me and my friends in the background just being silly, having a fun time playing SmackDown vs. Raw. A lot of them were not on YouTube at the time, especially wrestling YouTube, so they thought it was weird me pulling out a camera and trying to record everything. And that's the vibe I really liked with those videos, but as time went on, they all started to fall out of WWE, with the PG era and everything. I remember by SmackDown vs. Raw 2010, most of my friends had already stopped watching WWE and would just play the video games. And even a couple months after that, they stopped playing the video games too. But being the introverted wrestling nerd I was and still am, I would just stay recording my little show. By the time SmackDown vs. Raw 2011 came out, they all were gone. So my memories with that game are just me being lonely, just recording my show. And as time went on, it started to feel less like a fun hobby and more like a chore. And also during this time, I had just picked up playing bass guitar because I'm really passionate about rock and metal music. So I found other friends at my school. We formed a band, and that definitely took more of my interest as compared to my dwindling Create a Wrestler show during that time. And hey, I think that was good for me at that age. I'm 16. Gets me out of the house with a more broader interest. Gets me actually hanging out with friends and not just locked up in my room all day. Because at that time, nobody in my social circles is playing WWE games. And trying to make more friends in high school during that time, it's hard to explain your main hobby is doing a Create a Wrestler show. By the time WWE 12 came out, I was already on autopilot. I would go months without recording anything, and again, without any active fan base to really inspire you. I just had no interest in it. So in 2012, I made one final match. I'll leave the link in the description box. I had edited a pretty nice promo for the match and did a lot of editing with entrances to make it look nice. Though I did not record commentary for whatever reason. I regret it now. But my love for wrestling games never faded away. I would still play every WWE 2K release. And if you see my channel, at the end of 2019, I found out you can just upload gameplay footage directly to YouTube. So I started doing that with 2K19, and I played that game so much during the pandemic. I did not spend my money on 2K20 for obvious reasons, but I would take two of my characters from UCWO and just use them a lot in 2K19. I even used them in the universe mode on SmackDown. None of these are well-crafted, edited videos meant for an audience. I would just use my YouTube channel as more of like a vault for random 2K matches. Every few years I get a kick to start playing a lot of WWE games again. Like during SummerSlam this year, I'm just sitting there getting really nostalgic about my old creator wrestlers. And in the past 2 months, I've played more WWE 2K than I have in many years. Probably even more than I did during the pandemic. And I think back to those years in 2009 and 10 when I was such an introverted kid, but really used those SmackDown vs. Raw games as a creative outlet for my imagination. And I had so much passion and dedication to record and edit without proper equipment and to practically no audience. And now, all these years later, I have so much more technology. The 2K games, while they definitely are not as fun as the SmackDown vs. Raw games, give you a lot of more customization options that I could have only dreamed of at the time. And now I'm starting to get this passion back that I had when I was 13, 14 years old. I mean, at this point in my life, I know I'm not going to go back to recording so regularly every day. Now that I have a full-time job, I still play with my band, and I'm in the happiest relationship of my life. But I at least want to give myself closure for something I was so passionate about during my coming of age years. And if any of you guys remember UCWO from back in the day, I appreciate you guys so much. But I just want to give myself closure for something that was so passionate to me during my coming of age years. And I want to do a one night stand type event. Just a one and done. Do all the editing and recording and make it the best it could be. And just really live out the vision I wanted to see when I was 13 years old. I think at this point I'm just yapping here and being nostalgic, but if it's connecting with any of you, I love to hear that. So if you're interested, just subscribe and watch me live out my childhood, early teenagehood one last time. And with that, I hope you guys have a good day.